What's good, my YouTube family? We back in our reaction video. We got my boy Ty Learn with Beyblade's Dark Tsubasa arc. Was peak. My boy was fighting demons off them shrooms keys. That dark power. That dark power was giving that boy CTE. It was giving him CTE from like the whole arc. That boy was tweakazoid. But y'all not even hear me talk about it. Here to my boy Ty talk about it. So that being said, his channel gonna be linked down below. Along the version of the video, make sure you go show some love, hit the sub button, all that good stuff. And you know we gotta hit the lights. And then bling bling bing bong bong bing bong bong bing bong bong bong. No, I gotta make it full screen. Now let's get into it.
Ladies with gentle hands. We are going to be talking about the light skin of Beyblade, aka the man, the myth, the legend, Tsubasa. Not only a fan favorite amongst metal fight fans, but personally I believe Tsubasa to have the best character arc within the entire series. And I may be exaggerating when I say this, but I personally think no other character got better than Tsubasa during Masters. And today I'm going to be doing my best to try and elaborate that. Tsubasa was first introduced around halfway through Metal Fusion, where he seemed like he was just going to be a one-hit wonder and just be a victim to Ginga's special move. But we find out during their fight that Tsubasa was mainly holding back and wanted to test the waters against Ginga, leading into him breaking into Dark Nebula, running a gauntlet on the fodder guys, and even tying with Yu, who by this point was stronger than both Ginga and Kyoya, presumably. So we already knew bro was being built up to
he was like that
threat. Him and Yu would go on some missions together, which gives us some fun scenes between the two since they are so different from one another, and it's eventually revealed that Tsubasa is a mole for the WBBA, and Tsubasa joined Dark Nebula in order to take it out from the inside, which almost works. He manages to defeat Dark Nebula's number 2, that being Yu, and even forces Ryuga himself to step down and fight him. However, due to Tsubasa's arrogance and not knowing how
Ryuga is kind of crazy.
He loses this fight pretty badly and would even force Phoenix to come down and save bro. After this, we see Tsubasa intercepting Ginga once again, questioning how his bond makes him so powerful, leading into Phoenix then dropping down to take on Ginga yet again, but that's when Tsubasa decides to fight him and ends up losing pretty badly. And as we know, this leads into Ginga overcoming Phoenix and learning Stormbringer, which I do believe is an important point to note for Tsubasa. Remember, the first time Phoenix beat Ginga, Ginga by that point didn't realize what made him so strong. He got frustrated against Ryuga and managed to fix his broken spirit and just came out a little short against Yu, but he never really experienced any loss like he did with Phoenix, where he went on to find where his strength comes from and rise up stronger than ever before, rather than rekindling his flame. This is important to note since Tsubasa goes through something a little similar, but it's something that lasts way longer than the Phoenix stuff.
Yeah, lol.
When Battle Bladers begins, we see Tsubasa understanding what makes Ginga so strong, but he doesn't really have a source of strength to pull from like he does, or at least not to the same degree, which is why even though he hard counters El Drago pretty badly, Tsubasa still ends up losing due to his lack of power and lack of understanding of El Drago and his own power. After his fight with Ryuga, he'd see that a part of the dark power would infect him, and after Ginga seemingly removes his power after defeating El Drago, the remnants of the dark power would be within Tsubasa, leading us into his arc
CTE
in
world,
which is the arc that inspired this video in the first place. Honestly, ever since Tsubasa's fight with Ryuga, bro has not really had the best track record. He would go on to lose to Kyoya in a really intense battle, and despite channeling some of the dark power, Kyoya, due to becoming much stronger, would defeat Tsubasa, only to then give him the position to be in Gang Gang Galaxy. Tsubasa does manage to defeat Yu, however, and is kind of looked to be the second strongest within Gang Gang Galaxy. But due to Tsubasa not only fighting the voices, but going up against opponents who are now starting to surpass Metal Fusion characters as a whole, it's really hard for Tsubasa to really keep up since he tries to resist the dark power. For those who don't know, resisting its power in the long run just makes it harder to control and results in Tsubasa becoming very chaotic and destructive, which is why he loses his first match against Chi-Yun, not because he was
smacking bro,
but because he lacked control of the power and ended up getting himself ringed out. He fights Team Russia, but who really cares, as the next fight that's actually relevant for the Tsubasa arc is against Wildfang, where he and Yu participate in a tag team battle against Demori and Ben.
That was a mean little
bladers who by themselves aren't that strong, but with their teamwork and Tsubasa's frustration building up, This leads into both Tsubasa and Yu getting pressed pretty badly, and Tsubasa ends up using the dark power against fucking Benkei. And I know a lot of you are probably going to call Tsubasa a fraud, but to be fair, the dark power does make him way stronger than everybody. It's just, again, he can't control it. And whenever he's not using the dark power, he's unironically weaker than what he was in Metal Fusion. Because he's so busy trying to tune out the voices, he can't really fight to his fullest. Tsubasa would use the dark power and squad wipe the entire field.
Started attacking animals.
It's not just Benkei and Demura. I mean squad wipe, like including his own teammate squad wipe. Which, I mean, hey, a W is a W, but
a win is a win.
Tsubasa, you do look a little sorry here, I'm not gonna lie. And it gets gradually worse with Tsubasa getting schizo attacks at the hospital and running away to fight Julian in the night like he's Bruce Wayne. Which leads into not only the Whales duo trying to jump Tsubasa with Julian, but also the man who originally wielded the dark power would make his arrival. That being Ryuga. We get a little catching up between the two, and it's revealed that the dark power and Ryuga became one, thus birthing his new bae, Medio El Drago. Ryuga would for once actually give some real advice to Tsubasa, telling him to stop fighting and actually overcome the darkness rather than running away from it. Which is a really nice touch, since we ourselves saw Ryuga's gradual fall to darkness and just how much it affected him, which is why he gave Tsubasa's advice in the first place. Because he sees Tsubasa going down the same path that he went through. After thinking about what Ryuga said, he would end up in a 2-on-2 battle with Yu once again, but this time against Sophie and Whales. Two opponents who as a duo are not only powerful, but them individually are way stronger than their last opponents. This is the same duo that Jinga, Masamune, and Yu had to work together to even get past them. Anyway, obviously the Whale duo would start to overwhelm the pair, leading into Tsubasa going crazy and legit getting swallowed into his own pit of despair, where he is now faced with his biggest enemy, himself. Tsubasa would be told that he needs his power to win as early as back when Tsubasa was a kid. He knew all along that as long as you win, nothing else really matters. And we've seen throughout all of Season 2 that he honestly does need this power to at least stand a chance. But the moment Dark Tsubasa tries to use his memories against Tsubasa, and with Gang Galaxy and specifically Yu snapping him back to reality, Tsubasa would then at that moment remember who he was. Even when Dark Tsubasa used his past against him, we see that it worked out for Tsubasa in the end, and that whole mentality of always winning won't really get him anywhere. You see, thanks to his fights with not only Jinga, but the fights he went through up to this point, he understands that the Blader spirit is something all Bladers have, and his allies aren't a weakness, but rather the main source of his power. And it is at this moment where Tsubasa not only discovers who he is, but his actual source of power, and like what Ryuga did off screen, we see Tsubasa breaking out of the dark power and emerging stronger than ever. Now, he wouldn't have Medio El Eagle, but, you know, he would get a special move called the Shining Tornado Buster, which would OHKO the duo in one shot. And to me, this is the most satisfying arc in the entire series. We see Tsubasa discover his source of strength, and rather than being consumed by his own darkness and past regrets, he more than likely would have in the past, we see the present Tsubasa not being consumed, and it resulted in him becoming more powerful for his future. And even his special move, Shining Tornado Buster, has the eagle spirit covered in fire, showing that his burning spirit overcame the darkness. After this fight, Tsubasa just keeps going, bro. He ends up slapping the dark power once again and defeats a whole team leader by himself, and would end up slamming the second strongest in Starbreaker. Mind you, both Argo and Jack have tried to press Jinga, and Jack specifically damn near killed Klaus. Both fights represent what this new Tsubasa looks like, but specifically in the Jack fight, we see how someone like Tsubasa conquered his darkness and transformed into a new Blader, does against someone who legit got a range to transform into a new Blader, but still lacks an understanding of himself. Which we actually do see get elaborated on in Metal Fury, which is pretty neat. And
we've seen what happened to him.
Talk about Tsubasa in Metal Fury, or lack thereof. Unfortunately for Tsubasa, he, like a lot of Bladers, were not chosen to be a legendary Blader, and because of this, we get a lot less screen time with him, and we don't get anything new when it comes to his scaling. He's forced to go all out and just beat the weakest version of Kenta in Fury, and gets humbled by Ryuga. And after realizing he isn't a legendary Blader, he just does the best he can to track them down and even help the others fight Rago in the final battle. But it just kind of sucks that Tsubasa was like pretty much Jinga's number 2 in Masters, and besides him and Kyoya, he was like the next strongest. But then in Fury, you have him getting pressed by Kenta and Toby and Zio. He also does the worst against Rago and doesn't really get a personal one-on-one with a legendary blader aside from his fight with Ryuga where he got slammed.
Yeah, but that's Ryuga though.
Masamune and Kenta, who all individually fought legendary bladers in pretty prolonged battles. The fact that these three have more to do in the story kind of shows you how dirty Tsubasa was done in Metal Fury, but regardless, he did help Jinga and the others defeat Rago. And by the time of current Beyblade, Tsubasa would be the director of the WBBA and would be the one to help guide the new Beyblade world. But unfortunately, Shogun Steel is fucking garbage. Although Metal Fury did the go kind of dirty, Metal Masters gave us what I believe to be the best character arc in the entire Metal Saga. Argue with your mother. And the next video is probably going to be why you fell off, like, drastically.
Like, you fell off. Like you, Timothy. You fell off. But no, we'll be talking about you. Talking about you. Now, Tsubasa was done dirty, bro. Like, no screen time after he done went through his arc. That's cool. Naruto side character treatment, man. It be like that sometimes, though. Me, personally, I can never get side character. Like, I'm be in every major arc. I'm gonna force my way in there. I'm gonna force my way in there, bro. I need my screen time. How else I'm gonna get the fans of these bands? No cap. Limitless bands and limitless hands. Nigga, come here now. I got smoke for every blader in the world. No cap. But my boy Ty channel gonna be linked down below. Along during the video, make sure you go show the love, hit the sub, and all that good stuff, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next one. Tsubasa was done so dirty though, like, nigga, hey.